Invisible Woman's ability gameplay is here, but it's going to take a lot to break these abilities down because there's a lot going on with her abilities. Luckily, I've already watched the trailer for like the past 2 hours, breaking down everything thanks to Marvel's partner program, and I've figured out every small detail about how she works. Now, before I get into this, just a quick heads up that I will be playing the entire season early later today and posting a video showcasing all of the features, buffs, nerfs, new team-ups, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see everything new in the game. So, Invisible Woman is a strategist, but she has a lot of awesome selfish abilities to help her deal damage and also heal for herself, which is really awesome. Let's first start with her main attack though. This is a 10-round attack and it works in the same way that most healing attacks do for strategists. It can heal and it can also damage. It does quite a decent amount of damage or healing per hit, but it has a very unique feature that has not been seen before in any other abilities in this game. So when you hit a player, whether it's an ally or an enemy, it will go through, it will pierce through that target and then bounce back and come back towards Invisible Woman. And what happens there is each attack is basically doing double damage, 2 hits per attack. So it will attack somebody, go through the target, boomerang back, and then do the damage again. So even though you only have 10 shots per reload, you're doing about double damage for each shot because of this feature. And the cool thing about this ability is the second bit of damage is kind of delayed, right? You've already done a bit of damage and you're guaranteed that extra bit of damage just a tiny bit later. So you could secure kills with this or heal when somebody is still taking damage, and it's a pretty useful way to sort of sustain heal across all of your teammates, right? You can throw a boomerang attack, I don't know what to call it, it's basically like a boomerang, towards one ally and then turn to heal another ally, and that first ally is still getting the second heal as you're doing so, which is pretty nice. Now, the passive ability for Invisible Woman is quite cool. At first, I thought it was just a normal double jump, and I thought, well, that's quite a shame. We've got a lot of double jump abilities, or even quadruple jumps in Iron Fist's case, but actually, this is a really powerful peel tool for supports, which is really nice because peeling is really hard to do in this game, and a lot of tanks struggle to do it, and it can be really difficult if you're playing support because you just get pushed in the backline all the time. So what this does is if you jump and then jump in mid-air, it will actually activate the passive when you land, and it will do a pushback, pushing back the enemy nearby and slowing them down. So this is a really nice peeling ability that's going to be extremely useful. It doesn't slow them down, but it does do a tiny bit of damage, which is quite nice. And then we have the shift ability, which is like a large vortex that will slow and suck players into the center. So if there are multiple players in this radius, it will suck them all into the center, and as it does so, if anyone's in the radius of this ability, it will do tick damage over time. The damage of this is pretty decent, and it's definitely going to slow down pushes. So far, you can start to see a pattern with Invisible Woman's abilities. Yes, she's a strategist and a healer that can heal up her teammates, but she has a bunch of selfish abilities that allow her to deal with annoying pushers on her own. So if you're getting flanked by a Psylocke or a Black Panther or a Thor, and you don't have any of your teammates to help you, playing Invisible Woman will mean you don't have to worry about these issues. So far we've seen the main attack and the shift ability, and I've explained them as well as I can understand them. Next, let's talk about the shield ability. This is a really nice ability that can be used to sort of give yourself a bit of extra protection or give your teammates extra protection. It's pretty straightforward on the surface. You throw this down and any damage shot into it will be blocked. It will have a certain amount of shield health before it's destroyed though, so it's kind of like a portable Doctor Strange shield. It cannot be moved whilst placed, and you have 2 options when you want to place it. You can either place it wherever your crosshair is aiming, or choose to place it right on top of your teammates, facing toward whatever direction they are facing. It seems to have about 250 health points, and there's a weird feature with it that isn't really explained in the trailer. I've tried to pay very close attention to figure it out. You can press another button once the shield is activated, and it has this little arrow thing. Now, I don't know if that means you can move the shield, or maybe it will mean you'll move yourself towards the shield. It's definitely some kind of movement-based ability relating to the shield. So you're either moving towards the shield or maybe moving the shield towards you. I don't know, we'll have to wait till Invisible Woman fully drops to figure out that specific detail. And then we have Invisible Woman's E ability. Now this one is pretty straightforward, but I do want to explain a couple details that I've noticed. So you basically send out this tunnel and it will knock players back. It does a very small amount of damage. So this is a displacement tool that is specifically used to push away enemies, and doing so could knock them off the edge of the map, or more importantly, help to peel for yourself. So once again, we've got another ability for Invisible Woman that can be used to push back any potential flanking characters that are trying to shut you down as a support. So it's really nice to have these tools on Invisible Woman. But another feature about this which is pretty cool that is not shown in the gameplay, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory when we read the text on screen, is that this can actually be used to be pulling enemies or players inwards. So let's say there's an enemy running away on very low health, you can use it to pull that enemy back towards you so that they can't get away. Or perhaps a more realistic example is if your teammate is pushing a little bit too far away and you need to bring them back to you so that they don't get killed, you could potentially push in a teammate instead. I'm not really sure how it's going to work if you end up getting multiple players within this tunnel area, whether it's going to pull them all or just sort of pull or push the first player it comes into contact with. It is quite a small cylinder, quite a small area, so it seems mostly to be used to focus on a specific single target. Now we've got the ultimate to talk about. Now this is of course going to be a very powerful healing ultimate like many other supports, but it doesn't quite have as good healing as Luna Snow's or Mantis's ultimate. You can see here that the healing is not quite as good. So you could still out damage the healing if you've got a particularly strong ultimate or something. But what's interesting is this doesn't only provide healing. Everybody inside the large radius will be seen invisible from the outside. It's going to work very similarly to the Moon Knight passive, the team up that he has with Cloak and Dagger. So when activated, if you're in that radius, anyone from outside the radius cannot see you. However, if you enter the radius of the ultimate, you will be able to see what's inside. Now you can shoot into it and you'll sort of get a little bit of a ghost or after image of where you've hit a player, so you can kind of predict where they're moving, but it's going to make it a little bit difficult for ranged enemies to get damage in. Now interestingly, if anyone's inside this radius that's an enemy, if they try to go outside, they'll be slowed. And on the other side of things, if an enemy tries to walk into this radius, they'll be slowed as well. It won't do damage to enemies, but it will slow them as they enter or exit the area. Now, Invisible Woman will also have a team up with Mr. Fantastic. We don't yet know what it will be, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty fantastic. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to subscribe so you can see my full overview and coverage of the new season. That video will drop later today, early before the season goes live.